Greetings, everyone. It is I, Umber Rays, having returned from a day of respite to kind of take a step back, take a step away from Wotv after the big news on Friday. Also, just the fact that the last video was 40 minutes long was a marathon and a half to get through. So there's a bunch of stuff to talk about this week, tons of videos to make about all of this content, and that's just preemptively before we actually get to the fun of it being in the game, because we're looking at least 3 major planned updates. We got Zidane and Garnet coming very quickly. We have the VV upgrade date, and last but not least, well, actually we have 4 updates now that I think about it, because there's also the Young Helen update on the 14th of November, and the last that we really know about, November 22nd, will be the first of the Veritas unit. So with all of that being said, we're going to have to take a look at all of that, and we will in due time, but today's video is about the 4th anniversary versus the 3rd anniversary, because every anniversary kind of has had a theme, and you know, it's important to look at how the last year has been, what the theme is of that 3rd anniversary back then, because looking ahead, we can probably get some insight as to the direction of the game for the next. And of course, I am expecting things not to be as rosy and sunshiny as it may seem to be, because I've seen this before. You see the good things, and there's still too many questions to be answered. What new systems will be introduced over the 4th year, if any, at the other anniversary? What will rewards be like for the following year? What are holo VCs going to make the game look? All of these are really good questions to keep in mind for keeping your hype in check. That being said, there's no doubt that I'm hyped for the 4th anniversary content, because there's a lot in there, a lot to talk about, and hopefully it will mark a lot of positive changes for the game, and maybe even get some people back into the game, which would be kind of nice as a content creator, or at least a video maker, whatever you want to call these things that I do. So the 3rd anniversary, let's talk about that. There needs to be a little intro. I'll mark it as a time code for the 3-minute mark for when we get into this. So the 3rd anniversary, if you take a look at it, what did we get? Well, Final Fantasy VII got... There are 3 things that stick out in my mind. 140, from 120 to 140 for units. The Final Fantasy VII collaboration number 2, and the last thing was the wedding theme. And just touching on all of those briefly, essentially the 3rd anniversary started off on a really negative point, because the announcement of going from 120 to 140 was already a little dubious, because we didn't, again, get all of the details on stream. Then we found out later just how annoying the reincarnation was, and it was a lot of doom and gloom because it looked bad from the outside. Now, of course, it's really just bad for super whales who want to stay incredibly competitive and need to force a lot of resources into characters. And for most people, it just doesn't matter that much. You reincarnate a character that you like X number of times and kind of just forget about the rest. And things have generally gotten better for getting resources and materials for doing it. It could still be better, but that's always the case. It could always be better. But needless to say, I don't think that 120 and 1 was particularly well received from most people. And over the course of the year, it's been more annoying than anything else. So not particularly the best vibe from that. Then we had the Final Fantasy VII Collaboration Part 2, which, as it turns out, just was a misnomer, because while it was Final Fantasy VII, first batch of characters was classified as remake characters, and Sephiroth and Yuffie, who, let's give credit, they are still good, very good characters by today's standard about 1 year later. Intergrade, they were considered intergrade characters, so there were separate orbs for those characters and separate characters for orbs for those characters, and this was like, well, geez, if 13 comes back, if any of these other collaborations come back, are these are characters to be split for arbitrary and stupid reasons? Because Sephiroth didn't really play a part in Intergrade per se. He was more a remake character, I guess, if we really split hairs. But boy, oh boy, did it just suck for everybody to find out. Yeah, these characters we want come with a bit of a downside, and it was just more annoying than anything. And it probably should have just been handled better. But even then, for a game that, you know, like FFBE is supposed to be representation of having a lot of different Final Fantasies, or, you know, at least some characters from different Final Fantasy, getting a repeat of that collaboration felt a little more bad than it probably should have. Thankfully, incredibly hyped characters did different. And then last but not least, you had the wedding theme, which around Mont and Macherie, and depending on how much you like characters or the main story, it could essentially, like, your mileage may vary. Personally, I'm not a Macherie fan. I'm not a Mont fan. And I got really tired of the wedding theme very, very quickly. Also because it just didn't really make that big of a difference or impact on me. And I don't know, it gave me a spike, but the spike was short-lived because essentially the third anniversary felt not so great. And that kind of led into this third year, which has been pretty repetitive, really flat, boring. A lot of people have kind of left the game, people who make videos about this, and people who play and people who hang out. And yeah, I feel like the third year has kind of sucked overall, because even though we got some cool characters and cool updates for some stuff, it was really flat and really boring, and I can't tell you a lot of very super hype moments over the last year. So now, into the fourth anniversary. It feels like we're already starting off on a more positive note. For one thing, there's a new collaboration. Say what you will about repeat collaborations, but this is a brand new collaboration, and it's another numbered Final Fantasy. It's another new edition. We got characters that people want: Zidane, Garnet, and Vivi. Okay, not everybody, because like other Final Fantasy or whatever, but quite a few people like this, and especially, how can you not like Vivi? Monster. But that's not a reference to any hard facts. Final Fantasy 9 is a more positive note than FF7, regardless of just being an overpopular character there. Just continuing on, like, looking at like the inclusion of the Veritas units, the fact that we're getting an event around the like Old and Helena and O and their younger versions, and that seems really fun and interesting, and might be something that more people are interested in than Macherie and Mont's wedding. Like, overall, everything so far this year has started to feel much more vibrant, more colorful, more things that players have been asking for. And that's all just a really big positive. But to kind of talk about my major point, 9 minutes in, don't worry. I think that the biggest theme of the 4th anniversary is it's going to be a better year for the players. Like, Holovision cards, we don't have all the details yet, but looking at the Final Fantasy IX Holovision cards, they're not costed up yet. There wasn't mention of 160s or anything like that. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest tells for me just is how much they're going to change the Trust Mastery system. They're getting rid of Esper Resonance, they're getting rid of Weapon Proficiency and Character Proficiency and all of that garbly gook that just is so needlessly grindy when people just want to log in and play the game for a bit and log out. Like, lifestyle games, people are tired of them. People want to go be doing and playing other things and having fun because we're outside of that lockdown era. So the game needs to change and evolve And it kind of is, which is the most exciting thing to me. Like, I love that we're getting the Veritas units. That art and those characters, I'm going to sink my bloody teeth into in Final Fantasy IX too. But the fact that, like, they're making daily tasks easier and less of a chore, and just, again, that trust mastery system change, it's so huge to essentially get rid of a system that is just so convoluted and so crappy, where you have to re-roll and spend time, and you have daily limits, and you have to equip it to the right weapons, and all the sets, and geez, man, it's been so bad. It really is. It's so bad that I have just completely separated from it, where somehow a lot of my stuff got completely unequipped, and I just never re-equipped it again because I didn't want to. I don't want any part of this. But now, with the improvements, I might finally get to the point where I'm okay with trust mastery, which I guess now they're just mastery stuff. Materia, and I think in the worldwide. I think the biggest thing about 3rd anniversary was that it felt so tired and old and cycled and so much more expensive. And yeah, I'm expecting some of that in the 4th year. But I have to give credit where credit is due. The 4th anniversary feels like a much bigger breath of fresh air. And more than that, it feels like there's been a weight taken off my chest, in that I can just maybe enjoy this game more. Because, yeah, that sounds great. I hope you agree with me, but as always, we will remain cautious into the future that things will stay positive for the entire 4th. But I, as a viewer, evaluator, whatever, think that we are going. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and 4th anniversary is up real soon. Cheers. See you.